Hey y'all, what's going on? This is Paul, your hip hop relationship and recovery coach, and I'm bringing to you another Kick Your Butt Out episode. As usual, before I get off into the content of today, I have to say what I always say, and I strongly encourage you to get it in here so that you can incorporate this thing into your lives. And that is, if you're looking for a butt, it's gonna always be easy to find one. And that, my friends, is a promise. All right. Let me read, before I start the content, let me read to you all the definition. And the definition, the word for the day is relationship. And what a relationship is, a connection, association, or involvement. And that connection, association, or involvement can be with people, places, things, beliefs, values, words, statements, you name it. The list can go on and on. Today I want to talk about some of the relationships that we have created, or are involved in with some of the words and the statements that we use today, and how unhealthy, let me say it like that, how unhealthy some of these words and statements that we are in relationship with today are, how harmful that some of these words and statements that we are in relationship with are. We have, over the last few years or so, we have come up with this word, normalize, and there's nothing wrong with the word normalize, because let me say that it's good that we have started to use this word and help people to understand that some of the things that we didn't think was normal are normal, especially in the African American community. We didn't know getting help in therapy and counseling and psychiatry, all of those things, going to the doctor on a regular basis. Some of those things weren't normalized in our communities for many years, and that's one of the reasons why lots of us today are seeing the detriments, right? In our houses, in our communities, in our relationships, you name it. We are seeing some of the harms that happen as a result of us not normalizing that those things were going on, and the help for those things was normal. Because I remember, let me say it like this. Before I started to normalize the fact that I needed therapy, I remember years ago, I took that word therapist, right? And I gave it a nasty word. I turned it into a nasty word, the rapist. And I was saying that from a standpoint of, I'm not going to see no therapist, because that's all they're going to do was rape my mind. That was my thought process, right? And the norm wasn't not to do that. However, I understand today, I have a therapist today, let me say that, and I see her regularly. The interactions that I have with my therapist has helped me out a great deal in many aspects and areas of my life. Because of seeing this therapist, I have gotten a lot of help that I needed, and it has helped me to be in a place, in a position of a little over 9 years of recovery, total abstinence from substance use disorder, and just changing my life for the better, my relationships for the better, my interactions for the better. So I got rid of normalizing that word from, saying it that way, and understand that it's normal to need a therapist, and it's normal to have one. All right. So I want to talk about how we normalize a lot of these statements and words, but we don't normalize the other side of what these statements and words can be. I'll get off into, I'll help you all to understand it a little bit more as I talk about these particular situations. So one of the first statements that we've normalized it, right? And it was important to bring to the forefront so people can learn that you don't have to always be okay. And the statement is, it's okay to not be okay. Let me say it like that. This statement says, it's okay to not be okay. That was one of the greatest statements that happened to me. Learning that I didn't have to be okay all the time. Because the reality of it is, I wasn't okay all of the time, but I couldn't admit that. Because that was, admitting that I wasn't okay was basically, with the man rules, right? With the man, as a man, with the man rules. And in some of the cultures and circles that I hung around, to say that you're not okay was taboo. And the reality of it is, a lot of times I wasn't okay. And a lot of times you out there who listening to this podcast are not okay. And it's okay to not be okay. We normalize that, right? It's okay to not be okay. Here's the but. We left it there. And because we left it at that, a lot of us are okay with sitting in not being okay. I know some people, personally and professionally, that lives and dies by their relationship to this statement. It's okay to not be okay. Absolutely. Here's what I want to say. So that's normalize, right? Let's normalize this. It's okay to not be okay, but it's not okay to stay not okay. Get okay. Let me say that again. It's not okay to stay not okay. Get okay. Let us start to normalize that. Because, again, I know many people professionally and personally who are still sitting on that nail, still sitting on that. It's okay to not be okay. And they're doing absolutely nothing, and I'm not talking about anybody. I'm not trying to say I'm better than anybody or none of those things, but most of the people who I know that sits on the nail of that statement, they're not doing anything to get off of the nail. They're not doing anything to get okay. Because again, they're in relationship with, it's okay for me to not be okay. So I'm gonna say it again, and then I'm going to move on to the next thing I want to talk about. It's okay, yes. Yes, it's okay to not be okay because we're not okay all the time. But it's not okay to stay not okay. Get okay. Let's normalize that. All right. The next thing that I want to talk about that we have normalized, right? Again, it's good to bring the awareness. Let me say that. It's a really good thing to bring the awareness. The problem is, the but is that we leave people there. We don't give people encouragement or other things that they could get in relationship with that can be healthy as well. And that's the problem that I have. That's the but. We normalize, fill in the blank, whatever it is that you want to put in there. We normalize X, Y, Z, but 9 times out of 10, it's not healthy, and people are not getting healthy because we're leaving them there at that statement. So I want to talk about mental mental illness. We have normalized the statement mental health, right? And I want to take a quote from Dr. Anita Phillips. She has a book called The Garden Within, and she talks about mental illness because she says it like this. She says, everybody has mental health. Not everybody has mental illness. Not everybody has mental illness. And so when we talk about, we normalize talking about mental health, but we have not helped people to understand that you really are not mentally healthy. You have a mental illness. The thing that we want to normalize is getting mentally healthy. We don't normalize that. We always talk about mental health is mental health day from a negative standpoint, from a standpoint of people being overcome with the mental illness, from people being up under the power of mental illness, from people being messed up and going through many things from mental illness. We've normalized that. But we don't normalize having the conversations around how do we get mentally healthy? How do we get mentally healed? Let's start to normalize that and stop leaving people where they at. We live in a world where so many people, because of this statement that has come out about mental health, right? The awareness and all that. We live in a world where so many people run right up under the mental illness umbrella, run right up under the mental health umbrella and try and does the bare minimum or nothing at all to try to get mentally healthy, to try to get mentally healed, because we don't talk about that as much, right? We don't talk about that as much. That's not a normalized conversation. And so let's normalize that. Let's normalize that. Yes, we know about the mental illness. That's shouted on the rooftops. Everybody in this world that has some form of sense or access to media or electronics knows about mental health, mental illness, whatever you want to call it. We know about that. Let's know more about or normalize. Get mentally healthy. Get mentally healed. All right. Here's another statement that we are in relationship with, that we have normalized, right? And we leave it there. And then we wonder why. The world we live in. I'm not even going to talk about the world. I'm going to talk about the United States. I'm going to talk about this country. We wonder why this country is filled with messy people. And I am not pointing no fingers except the one in the mirror, because I have lived messy for many, many years. And in some situations today, I still find myself having to be cognizant, right, of, okay, this is messy, Paul. You can't keep, you got to get up off of that one. This is messy, Paul, or this is going to cause a mess. You got to get up off of that one. So I'm saying all that to say I'm not perfect. When I'm talking to you all, I'm talking to me, I'm talking to us. And what I want to do is, these podcasts are designed for us to have some conversation about this so that we can see better how to help one another. We need to recover. And I always say it like this when I'm working with people in recovery. The word recovery doesn't have an I in it for a reason. And for all of you all out there who think or have been told or have been normalized in the thinking process of recovery is equated to people who have drug and alcohol issues. Recovery is not limited to people who have drug and alcohol issues. Everybody who has had some form of trauma, mental, spiritual, emotional, relational, physical, whatever form of trauma that you have suffered from, you need recovery. So I'm gonna leave that there and let me go on to the next one. Here's another normalized statement that we leave there. It is what it is. It is what it is. It's an excuse to not do nothing to change it. I'm gonna say that again. It is what it is an excuse to do nothing to change it. Because again, most of the people and most of the time that I hear that statement used, people are doing nothing to change it. So, yes, it is what it is, but it doesn't have to stay that way. Let's normalize that. Let's normalize the fact that yes, it is what it is, but it doesn't have to stay what it is. It doesn't have to stay that way. It can change. What do I need to do to make a new it is what it is, rather than the one that's giving me an okay or a pass to do nothing and just leave it like that. Again, I'm talking about the United States because this is where I live. And one of the reasons why this country is a mess is because we have many people living up under the relationship with it is what it is and doing nothing to change it, which brings me to the next one. We have normalized saying that the children of today are lost. I'm not disputing or denying that statement because in many cases, it is a fact. The children of today are lost. We've normalized that, right? Here's what we haven't normalized. We haven't normalized that they didn't get lost on their own. T.D. Jakes says it like this. The things that you believe about yourself and the things that you have grown accustomed to or become in relationship with, somebody told it to you first. You learned it somewhere first. And that's why I say that the children of today didn't get lost on their own. We helped to lose them. So now that we have normalized that the children of today are lost, let's normalize going to get them. Let's normalize going and finding them because we are responsible for them being lost. And I'll put it to you, let me explain it to you. For all of you out there who listening to this podcast and think that you have done absolutely nothing to help the kids be lost, I'm finna prove you wrong. Okay. So back in, I'm a 60s baby. Telling my age, it's okay. I'm a 60s baby. So I remember late 70s, 80s, lots of women started to go back to school and get jobs, because they didn't want to be on welfare, right? Now, that was a good thing. My mother was one of them. Good thing. Now, here was the problem or the caveat to this. In many of those situations, the dad was already working, so he wasn't in the house or he was gone, period. So either way, he wasn't in the house. So now, because now dad is either working or he gone anyway, now mama is gone because she got to work. who haven't raised kids. Now, I didn't grow up in the bad household, in the terrible household. My household was one parent. Y'all know my story. My house was one parent, my mama. My mother went to work in school. Who was raising me? So, and that's one of the situations where it was easy for a child to get lost. Because I did. I started, y'all know my story, started smoking weed 10 years old. Okay. Now, we're going to fast forward it to the 80s. The 80s came, crack hit the streets of America. Many parents became addicted to crack. And the children of those families suffered the most. Ended up being lost from a perspective of now not only that they don't have the mother or the father in the house, they don't have food, they don't have lights, they don't have clean clothes, they don't have anything because the crack had taken all the money. And the result was the kids being lost. So that's another era that the children of that day were lost. Now, a lot of those children who were victims of the crack epidemic are adults now and have their own children. Here's how those children are lost. We are not parenting our children today. We're allowing electronics and social media to parent our children. We're allowing society to parent our children. We're allowing the system to tell us what to do with our children, and they don't live in our households. Thus, the children are being lost. They're teaching our kids anything in school, and we wonder why the children are lost. So I use all of those examples to say that all of us are responsible for the children being lost today. And it's so again, we've normalized saying the children of today are lost. Now let's normalize going and find them. Let's normalize going and get them. That's just that simple. It's just that simple. All right. The next one I want to talk about, we've normalized this. I'm good. How you doing? I'm good. The majority of the times that I ask people, how are you doing? And they say, I'm good. The majority of the people who uses I'm good as a response, not good. We have normalized saying I'm good. I'm talking about in text, in emails, person to person, on the phone. That's all. I'm good. And most of the people ain't. They're not good at all. When people ask me how I'm doing, I say I'm well. Because sometimes I may not be good, but I'm well. Say that again. Sometimes I may not be good. Things may not be going good, but I'm well. Because what I'm talking about is from a sober standpoint, a sober mind standpoint. I'm well in that area. So that if it's not good, I'm well to the point where I can do something to make it better, to get it to good, right? But again, we normalize I'm good, and more often than not, we are not. So let's stop normalizing that lie that I'm good, and we know that we're not, and say, hey, listen, this normalize. Here's what the rapper Jay-Z, one of his songs, when I used to listen to, that type of music. One of his songs, he says, there's a lyric in there that says, you can't heal what you won't reveal. So let's normalize telling people I'm not good if you're not good. Things ain't okay if it's not okay. Let's normalize that so that we can get the help. Again, like I said, recovery doesn't have an I in it. So it's we. You can't do this by yourself. I'm saying it to say we need one another. So let's normalize saying if we're not good, I'm not good. If I'm not okay, I'm not okay. So that we can, now I understand and know that something is going on. What can I do to support you? How can I help? What resources you need to assist you, right, in getting okay and being actually good. So again, we in relationships with these words and statements that we have normalized, and most of the words and statements that we have normalized, people ain't getting okay. And then we wonder why the country that we live in is messy. Here's another one. Let me go to the next one. Here's another one. And this is geared toward or speaks to minorities, minority families, African Americans, Hispanics, the minorities. A lot of times when you have a parent or parents in a family that's doing fairly good, right? They're doing fairly good. When they mention their children, or if you're in a conversation with them about their children, one of the statements that has been normalized by us is, this is my child, XYZ, and I haven't been to the police station, I haven't been to the drug house, I haven't been to the morgue. We have normalized attaching that statement to our children when we're talking about our children. And I don't like it. I never did like it. And I still don't like it. Why do we have to be identified? Why do we have to be identified with or spoken from that standpoint? I haven't been to the police station. I haven't been to the drug house, or I haven't been to the morgue. Let's instead of having that being a normal part of our conversation, let's make the changes necessary so that that doesn't have to be the norm. That doesn't have to be the norm. Here's another one that goes with that. My child was the first one in our family to go to college. And I'm talking about, I'm mentioning this. When I'm talking about this, I'm talking about our African-American families, our Hispanic families, our minority families. These are some of the normal statements that are used when we identify or describe our children. I haven't had to do this, that, or the other. My child is the first one to go to college. Let's normalize. Let's normalize going to college. So, like when you're around Caucasian families, white families, Asian families, going to school and not the police station is a norm in those households. They don't even talk about, college is not the big subject or the best subject of the day. Not going to jail is not the biggest or the best subject of the day. That it's normal for them not to go to jail and for them to go to college. What's wrong with us making it norm? Our new normal. How come we can't normalize that too? We just as smart as they are. We just as capable as they are. I was listening to an interview with T.D. Jakes a couple of weeks ago. Him and Pastor Keon, and one of the things that he said we are in the most intelligent era known to man. We are in the most intelligent and intellectual era known to man, meaning that everybody got some capabilities and some sense and some knowledge and some wisdom and some understanding. Everybody has it. He said what's wrong with it is that we're not using it wisely. And so let's use what we have wisely, right? So that these conversations about I ain't been to the police station or this is the first one to go to college won't be the norm in our households. Or, our children dying young won't be the norm in our households. In the African American community, our children die regularly. And it's normalized. It's not a big thing. If a white kid or Asian kid, and I'm not, again, not from a prejudice standpoint, but something happens to one of their children, it's all over the news. Because in most situations, that's not normal. That's not normalized. When it happens to us, it's you don't see it on the news because it's normalized. And the bad part about it is that the majority of this black on black crime, of these crimes are committed by blacks against blacks, Hispanics against Hispanics. So we got to stop normalizing that. Let's normalize helping one another to live. Let's normalize helping one another to go to college, helping one another to stay out of the police station, helping one another to stay out of drug houses, whatever the case may be. Let's normalize having conversations around that. Let's normalize having our own businesses and not just small businesses. Black-owned small businesses. How come we can't have black-owned big businesses? We can. So let's stop normalizing. Let me say this. Let's normalize owning our own businesses, and let's normalize owning large businesses and not small businesses. Because we do own a lot of businesses. Minorities own a lot of businesses, but the word that's in front of them, it's almost always small. Let's stop making that the norm and own corporations, big ones. Other people are doing it. We can do it too. So again, I just want having some conversation around some of the statements and words that we are in relationship with, that we normalize, that are not healthy, that we normalize and we don't look at the other side and talk about normalizing that, the better side, the better end, the healthier side, the healing side, the wholeness side. We don't normalize having conversations around that. And that's what I want us to start to have conversations around. Normalizing the other side, the side that's healthy, the side that's whole and healed. So, again, thank y'all for listening to me talk about these buts, right? We normalize XYZ, but it's not healthy because we lead people there. Again, thank y'all for listening to this. As always, listen, people, let's talk about this and let's work towards some solutions. Let's work towards some alternatives. Let's work together toward getting on the other side. It reminds me of a scripture in the Bible where Jesus said, get in the boat and go over to the other side. And that's what we need to do individually and collectively. Kick our butt out so we can get to the other side. Thank y'all so much. This is Paul, your hip-hop relationship and recovery coach. I want to say this, and please believe me. Believe me when I tell you. I love you people. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. And if you're looking for a butt, it's going to always be easy to find one. That, my friends, is a promise. Until next time, be well, do the next right thing. God bless you all. I'll see y'all next time. Deuces.